For me, Mexico City was one of the most surprising places to visit, and we're there every year for the Day of the Dead festival, so actually you get a real feeling of the culture of the place, and we've managed to go out in the evening during the festival, and it's crazy, even as it winds up, to see skeletons going home on the bus at 11 o'clock at night. It's really something to go and see. You do get a sense of the history there, and I think that's, you know, obviously they've changed the final corner now. It used to be a big corner, a bit like Parabolica in Italy, but now they've introduced this stadium section, which, I mean, the corners in there are quite low speed for a Formula One car, and they don't really show the sort of true capability of a Formula One car, I don't think. But to be able to get that many fans grouped so close in on the action is something quite unique in Formula One, actually. To be honest, in Mexico City, the thing everyone talks about is the altitude. It's 2,000 meters above sea level. We used to go to Brazil, which is 800 meters above sea level, and think, gosh, it's high altitude, isn't this having a big effect on our cars? And now we go to Mexico and no one talks about altitude in Brazil anymore. The altitude, so the first thing it does is it drops the downforce of the car to below the level you're running in Monza, so below your minimum downforce level, even though you're running as much downforce as you possibly can. So you're running the Monaco package, but you're going faster end of straight than you do in Italy. The cooling is also a problem because that air is so thin. There's less air through the radiators, there's less air through the brakes, so everything gets hot. It's very difficult to keep it cool. And then the tyre cooling is another problem again, because you're so high up. The sun isn't filtered by the air. So the same as you get sunburn when you go skiing, the track asphalt will get very, very hot in the sun. So we often see the hottest track surface temperatures of the year in Mexico, and the tyres don't have air to cool them down when they're not in contact with the road. So everything is a bit unusual to us, and it changes the way the cars behave quite a lot. What we tend to find is obviously it's low grip, and the braking becomes very challenging for the drivers, particularly with the rear grip. And so as they're entering the corners, the rear moves around a lot, and it makes the cars very difficult and unpredictable to drive in qualifying. You can also see, because there's less vertical load of the cars start to get into ride problems, because normally the downforce plants the car onto the road, but in Mexico you don't have that. You've got a lot more tyre grip and the cars can move around a lot more. There are some high-speed corners, but actually the lap time effect of them isn't so big, so the priority for the lap time is more in the low-speed corners. So it's a low pit lane speed limit, and you pass the pit lane normally at very high speed, so the pit loss is big. The tyres last a long time, so normally it's a one-stop race. And overtaking is quite challenging, because actually both of the straights are preceded by a long lateral traction corner. And to be fast in those corners, you need downforce. And if you're 2,000 meters above sea level and in the wake of one of these Formula One cars, there's really very little downforce at all. So you're scrabbling for grip, trying to stay close to the car in front, and it means that the lead car in the overtaking maneuver can get a good exit from the corner and be very difficult to overtake.